Welcome to Decluttering 55 Plus with Michelle Passoff. This is the place to come for news you can use to get things done. Everybody knows that too much stuff is clutter, and cleaning it makes you neater and tidier. To us, it is a life management tool that helps you navigate your next steps. This is what my book, Lighten Up, Free Yourself from Clutter, is all about. As baby boomers, we have a lot in front of us that is confounding and confronting, so we sweep things under the carpet and put them off another day or forever. That is clutter because it keeps us stuck, and my new book addresses all of that. So we're going to bring experts, authors, and authorities here to talk with us about health, relationships, technology, finance, housing. What are you going to do next in life? Passing down your life stories, and even the challenges of making final arrangements. Here we aim to learn, open new possibilities, choose, take action, and create a legacy, not a mess. So let's get started. Today we're going to talk about planning for retirement. More than money with Jeff and Judy Snyder. Jeff Snyder calls himself the Chief of Certainty Officer at Homestretch Financial, a company that works with an extensive team of experts to build plans for clients utilizing the best financial tools of the trade. His wife, Judy Snyder, is a certified financial transitionist, a certified professional retirement coach, and the author of the book Becoming Retired-ish, a guide to happiness and fulfillment, including, but not exclusive to, your financial life. So let's start with you, Judy. You say that retirement is more than money. Can you explain what you mean by that?
Absolutely. Thank you, first of all, for the introduction. But, when you think about retirement, everybody automatically goes to the money part. I have to get the money right. And why? Why do they do that? Because for 40 some years, their companies have been teaching them to invest in a 401k, prepare for their retirement. They hear, they're getting Social Security taken out of their checks. So everything, all the thought process around retirement seems to land on money. But what happens is when people actually retire, it's so much more about than money. Then it's kind of like they don't anticipate all the other changes that come with leaving your career down the road. So one of the things that we noticed with our practice is a lot of the people that come in have this kind of honeymoon of about 3 to 6 months after they retire, and then everything hits the fan, and they start getting depressed. They're no longer going out, during the week and doing all the things that they couldn't do before. And then they sit back and they're wondering, who am I? How do I get here? Why am I not happy? So
What do I do?
Exactly.
Now
That's what led me to write the book, because I was like, I know I see these things. I want to impart some wisdom from just talking with hundreds of people about how this process might look.
And people are living longer these days. So it's not like, well, after those, that honeymoon, it's over. Like you're dead and buried. We're living longer. The medical profession has enabled us to be healthier longer. We've probably led a healthier exercise and eating routine than our forefathers. So you're going to have more time after retirement to do what, right?
Right. And, the statistics show that if out of every couple that retires, one is going to live in their 90s. That's a new switch from years ago. And, when Medicare and Social Security first started, people were only living to 62 and 63. Now people are living in their 90s.
So how are you finding that people reinvent themselves?
Well,
do you help them do that, and how?
Yeah, it's a very interesting thing. In my experience, the people that have had the most professional type positions like doctors, attorneys, they have the hardest time, because for all these years, it started in college. I'm going to be a doctor. I'm going to be a doctor. I'm doing this because I'm in residency. I'm an attorney. I'm, going to law school. And then they have their practice, and then they retire and they go to a party and somebody says, "What do you do?" I'm retired.
I'm a nobody. I used to be somebody. And I know there's actually a guy that has a podcast called "I Used to Be Somebody."
I love it. And that epitomizes the issue of identity. And so what happens is, people kind of settle in and they start to retreat. They start to not be social anymore. And then that's coupled with the fact that their relationships change. They have to change. You're not with these people every day. And so you've had a career, and I know most people aren't with the same company for 40 some years, but if they're working, even if they change companies, they still sort of keep in touch with their work friends because they have a lot in common to talk about. But once they retire, not so much.
So how do you make how do you advise people, or do you advise people, how do you make that transition?
Perfect question. What I have done in my book is I have chooser sizes to get people to start thinking outside of the box and really focus on what their expertise is. Because you can reinvent yourself by using the same expertise you had as an attorney, a
Yes.
physician, whatever it is, a salesperson, and you can take those skills and migrate them to something that brings you joy. A lot of people got into careers, started making money, and then we all hear about the midlife crisis. Well, all a midlife crisis is the point at which someone realizes what they've been doing all their life isn't quite what they really want to continue to do, but they're making too much money to let it go at that point, and they're too young to retire. So what happens is they just get miserable. And, what I like to do is come in and say, what are the skills you enjoy doing? So let's not focus on a title or an area to work in. Let's just look at your skills. So we list all of their skills. What are they good at? What do they like doing? And where do those two intersect? And then we brainstorm about about all the many ways that you can transition from what you're used to do to what you really want to do, utilizing the skills that you actually enjoy.
Or even skills that you haven't had the time to enjoy. Like somebody might have been like a home chef, but then they get in. I know there's a woman in my neighborhood who went from being an IT professional to starting a cookie company that's, blown up.
Exactly.
I have a friend in Indiana. She was a psychiatrist, and she spent all those years training to be a doctor, and then training then being a doctor and a professional. And now she's retired, and she said, I didn't want to waste all those years and my skills. So she volunteers for the Red Cross, coaching people who
I
are
love it.
in disaster situations. She doesn't prescribe medication or do anything of the medical nature, but she's a psychiatrist, and she kind of talks them through trauma if there's a fire or a hurricane or a tornado or whatever.
That's a perfect example of the part of her practice that she loved doing. She's continuing to do that. When I first met Jeff, I was in medical sales and marketing. I wasn't in financial services. And as we continued to date and eventually got married, Jeff said, why don't you take your skills that you have in corporate America and apply them to our business? And I never thought of it. I thought, I'm not a financial person. I don't think I can do this. But really, it's been a seamless transition because I'm still doing the things that I love doing in my corporate career, but I don't have all the BS that comes along with corporate.
It can get better.
And Michelle,
business can get better. Yes, Jeff.
It only took me 5 years to convince her to leave her career and come and work with me.
Yeah, we have to. Judy, you talk about giving up beliefs. One of the beliefs you have to give up is I'm sticking to it.
Well,
I'm this and I'm sticking to it. Well,
exactly.
You can.
Well, some of it was driven by the fact that I wanted to wait until I was vested for retirement. Because I wanted to do it in a mindful sort of way. But he did. He's not lying when he said he had to convince me, because I kept saying, but it's finances, and I'm not really that great at finances, personal finances. And then what I found was, you know what? I'm pretty good at personal finances. When I took the leap and I started learning about it, I was like, you know what? This isn't so scary. And so that also drives me with my passion to help other women with their finances, because I was a professional woman who made a lot of money and it still scared me. And I think a lot of women are in that position.
So maybe you can discover new ways to think about yourself, that you actually do have skills you didn't even think you have, and that can be reapplied. What about health and wellness? What changes, and how does that fit into life in the retirement lane?
Well, I think a lot of people have an innate desire to be healthy and focus on their health. But in the working years, you don't have a lot of time. You're working late hours. You got a lot of stuff to do when you leave work. And it kind of sometimes falls by the wayside. I saw a statistic yesterday in the AARP magazine that said the lowest number of gym memberships in the country are between the ages of 55 and 64. That's like pre-retirement. And so I think what happens is, and then people say, well, when I retire, I'm going to do this. And then they want to start doing a lot of traveling, and then they're not fit enough to do walking tours and things like that. So, but also in terms of health and wellness, losing weight changes as your hormones change. So your health and wellness, the things that worked for you when you were young do not work for you when you're in your retirement years. A, because you just can't do it. Jeff and I used to go to HIIT classes at the gym. We were the oldest people in there. They were small group personal training classes. And HIIT is really intense. And we used to call ourselves the Medicare couple because everybody else could have been our grandkids. They were so young. But we would leave there and we would get through the class. I mean, we were pretty good at it, but then we would be sore for like 3 or 4 days.
You go, guys.
And finally, my chiropractor said, you know what, Jude, you got to give up HIIT. You're over 60. You got fusions in your neck. You got fusions in your ankle. You got to figure out a different method of keeping fit. And I think that's what we all have to do. Something that we can do well into our 80s and 90s. I walk every day. I haven't missed a day in 5 years.
Wonderful.
Even when I had COVID, I still walked.
We'll have to
outside.
Walk together sometime. We do that too.
I love it.
I got some of my best advice from my plumber about health and wellness. He told me you rest, you rust. And I think that's really good advice.
I love that.
Yeah, you got to keep moving. You rest, you rust. So,
but when you walk, and I try to walk outside, I get vitamin D. So I'm addressing the lack of vitamin D that most people have as they age. But also, it's like very zen to just be out in nature and notice the birds and notice the things that you don't really see all the time. It's, to me, now when I'm on a treadmill, I get the same zen feeling because it's more of a rote thing that is almost mesmerizing. So you just have to look for different ways of keeping fit, but not killing yourself.
Yeah, I know that when I used to exercise, I would there's a class there, I'll take that. There's a walking and a running group there, I'll do that. I think it's much more deliberate as you're 55 and plus, like your cardio and your strength building and your flexibility or something that you want to do and put into your schedule deliberately. So, all the changing your identity, taking a look at your health and wellness, that's all the things I'm aligned with you on and that change as you age. But we can't avoid the subject of money, right, Jeff? As we approach retirement, we have to really take a look at what is it to get our financial house in order. So can you enlighten us today? What is getting your financial house in order?
Well, one of the things I love about Judy's book is, of the 9 chapters, 6 talk about the non-financial side.
Yes.
And we always talk about it is about more than the money. Okay. But at the same time, the money is really important. And we always tell people money's not going to make you happy, but money will give you more choices, and more choices is a good thing. Okay.
Yes.
And so what we really have seen change dramatically in the last 15, 20 years is the paradigm around retirement planning. Okay. The paradigm around retirement, right? So if you look at the old days, people would work 40 years for the same company. They'd get a gold watch. They'd have a pension. And at that time, think about that. Over 70% of people had pensions. Today, it's less than 30% of people have a pension. But the Social Security was just a supplement to the pension, and there was less pressure on their own retirement savings. That could be used for things like trips or gifts or anything else that they wanted above that. You contrast that with where we're at today, where pensions have been replaced by 401ks. Typically, somebody works for 7 different companies in their lifetime. Okay.
No more
And you
40
also
years.
look at the fact that our retirement is primarily self-funded. Before, when you had a pension, the company put in all the money, the company took all the risk, the company paid all the fees, the company had to convert it to a lifetime income that you could never outlive. Well, now you've got a 401k where you're putting in most, if not all, of the money. You're paying all the fees. You're taking all the risk, and you're responsible turning it into an income you can never outlive. And let me ask you a question, Michelle. How much training on that did you get?
Don't ask me. I didn't work for a company. I worked for myself.
But the point is,
None.
that
The answer
we got
to
kind of all
that.
pushed into becoming managers of money in the stock market. Then we became managers of how do I convert it, and now Social Security it becomes a primary for a lot of people, and it becomes very 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 critical to understand that Social Security is probably not going to keep your lifestyle. The other big thing that's changed is the paradigm used to be that we're gonna require less money in retirement to live on, and we're going to be in a lower tax bracket.
Mhm.
Okay, and
Lie.
both of those things, both of those things are demonstrably false, right? I mean, as I look at things, I want to spend more money in retirement, not less, but I'm certainly not going to be spending less money in retirement. And then the second thing is, will I be in a lower tax bracket? Right? Well, that's probably going to be false as well. If you look at all of the experts right now, they're predicting that tax rates have to go up. Many are predicting that tax rates have to double. Okay. And so you're talking about, a tremendous tax rate risk in your retirement plans. Now, there's a whole bunch of reasons why the experts are saying tax rates have to double, but let me give you just a couple of examples. Number one, in 2023, 4 items in the federal budget, just 4 items, took 101% of record tax revenue. Those 4 items were interest on the debt, Medicare, Social Security, Medicaid. So how did the government pay for all the other programs they're responsible for? How did they pay for defense, welfare, pensions, healthcare? All those other things had to either be borrowed or printed with new money, right? And so again, this is one of the reasons that people say we're on an unsustainable path, because we keep spending more money than we have, keep adding to the debt. The interest rate went up on the debt. And so there's only 4 things you can do. You can cut spending, which nobody in Congress is interested in doing. You can borrow it, which our credit rating just got downgraded, so we probably can't borrow the money. We can print the money, but there's repercussions of printing the money called inflation, or we can raise taxes. So again, one of the huge changes in this whole paradigm of thinking is tax rates
Taxes.
are probably going to be higher when I retire. And so this creates what we call a ticking tax time bomb, because where do most people have their retirement savings? In company-sponsored 401ks and IRAs and 403bs and 457 plans, right?
Right.
Now, if you believe that tax rates would be lower in the future, then investing in tax-deferred items like that made all the sense in the world, right? Because I got a tax deduction when I put the money in, it grew tax deferred, and when I took it out, it's in a lower tax bracket. But what if the experts are correct and tax rates are going to be significantly higher? Now there's only a certain amount of money mathematically that you want to have in those tax deferred types of accounts.
Okay, Jeff. So instead of driving us to drink, how are you going to straighten us out?
Well, the good news is that you can start making shifts. You can start shifting money that's in a tax deferred account or even a taxable account into a tax-free account. And if there's any, one thing I would like people to take away from the conversation today, it's that Roth is the name of the game. And what I mean by that is you may have an option at work for your 401k where you can contribute to a Roth 401k. So what that means is with a traditional IRA or a traditional contribution to a 401k, you get a tax deduction, so it's pre-tax money going in. When you do a Roth, it's going to be after-tax money going in. Now, why does that make sense to do? It makes sense from a very simple parable. Would you rather pay taxes today on a smaller amount of money, the seed of your investment, at a known and probably lower tax rate? Or would you rather pay taxes later on the harvest of your investment, a much larger amount, at an unknown but probably larger tax rate? When people see that parable, they say, no, pay taxes today and be done with it forever. So again, Roth is the key word. If you have the option to contribute to a Roth 401k, you want to do that. And the amount you want to contribute is the amount that maxes the match. If your company is giving you a match, you want to max it because you take all the free money they're going to give you.
Yeah, go ahead. No,
I was going to say the second aspect of Roth is you should have a Roth IRA. Now, a lot of people say, well, wait a minute, Jeff, if I got a Roth 401k, why do I want a Roth IRA? They have different characteristics. A Roth 401k, you're going to get a match in most cases, but you're going to be responsible for, or you're going to have available to you only the investment options the company has. With a Roth IRA, okay, you have the complete control over the investments, and most people don't realize this, your contributions are liquid from day one, even under age 59 and a half. So it has liquidity and your choice on it, your control over it. So you want to have a Roth IRA as well. And then the third aspect of Roth that I would want to talk about is Roth conversions. So if you already have an IRA, already have a 401k in the traditional side, you can do a Roth conversion. There are no income limits. There are no limits on how much you can convert. Okay. So you can actually convert from a traditional IRA to a Roth IRA. And all you have to be willing to do is pay the taxes on the amount that you convert. But if we go back to our parable, would you rather pay taxes on a seed of your investment at a known and lower tax rate, or do you want to take the tax rate risk and potentially pay much higher taxes on a much larger amount? So the two guidelines that we're always going to look with for Roth conversions is, number one, we don't want to push you into a tax bracket that gives you heartburn. So we want to manage that tax bracket to keep you in that same 22, 24, 12%, wherever you're at. And number two, you have to pay the taxes when you do the conversion. And again, that's going to be basically three ways to pay the taxes. You can pay it out of cash you have outside your IRAs. You can pay it by increasing the withholding on your job, or you can actually pay it from the conversions.
So it sounds to me like in order to have our financial house in order, we have to wake up. We have to look with new eyes at who we are, what we do, how we take care of ourselves financially and otherwise. So, and you may want to get out there and get some help with somebody like an advisor like Judy and Jeff. They're at Homestretch Financial, www.homestretchfinancial.com. So whether you're approaching retirement or you have long ago left the workaday world behind, you have a financial life that endures, and it pays to keep trimming the sails so you stay afloat as you age. Get a team of experts around you to help guide through every step of the ever-changing waters of the world to retirement and finance so you're free from concern. The time to put your head in the sand is never, but especially not now. So I want to thank you, Judy and Jeff, for joining me today. And you might want to also go out and get that book that Judy wrote called Becoming Retiredish. It's on Amazon or on our website. And let's get smarter, as they say. Thank you both for coming today. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.
Well, that's all we have time for today. So let's wrap things up with a request that you go to our website, www.decluttering55plus.com, and click on the Let's Connect button. Share your thoughts, insights, and tell us the lessons you've learned. If you're facing challenges or celebrating triumphs on your decluttering journey, we want to hear from you. Connect with us on social media. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and subscribe to us on YouTube. Let us know you're part of our community by rating and reviewing us from wherever you're listening from today. And don't forget, invite your friends and family, young and old, to tune in too. Let's include them in the conversation. The more, the merrier. Thanks for being with us today. And until next time, this is Decluttering 55 Plus with Michelle Passoff, wishing you a clutter-free day.